In an alternate version of the wizarding world, Albus Dumbledore, headmaster of Hogwarts, protector of Harry Potter, and the only wizard Voldemort ever feared, doesn't just keep the Deathly Hallows hidden, he chooses to wield their full power, and that decision reshapes the entire future of the magical world. As the Second Wizarding War looms on the horizon, Dumbledore grows increasingly aware of his own mortality. He knows Voldemort is gaining strength, that Harry is not yet ready, and that the dark forces will soon be unstoppable. The Elder Wand is already in his possession, and its power tempts him more and more each day. But the Resurrection Stone, now hidden inside the Golden Snitch and Harry's Invisibility Cloak, offers something far greater, a path to ultimate control over life and death itself. In a moment of quiet desperation, Dumbledore makes a choice that will change everything. He decides to use the Hallows together. At first, Dumbledore believes he can control the Hallows, using them to protect the world from Voldemort. But as he begins to harness their power, something in him starts to shift. The Elder Wand amplifies his magic, making him almost godlike in his ability to cast spells. No one can challenge him, not even Voldemort. But with each use of the wand, Dumbledore becomes more distant, more cold, as the sheer might of its power begins to cloud his judgment. The line between the greater good and tyranny starts to blur. Next, he turns to the Resurrection Stone. Driven by guilt and sorrow, he uses it to summon the shades of his loved ones. He sees his sister, Ariana, her face still bearing the scars of their shared tragedy. He brings back his parents, silently judging him for his past choices, and even the ghost of Gellert Grindelwald appears, taunting him with the ideals they once shared. Dumbledore finds solace in the presence of the dead, but it slowly isolates him from the living. The stone whispers to him, reminding him that death no longer has to be feared, that he can rewrite fate. And so he begins to use it, summoning long-dead allies to aid him in the fight against Voldemort, creating an army of the fallen. This unnatural manipulation of life and death spreads fear and uncertainty across the wizarding world. The final piece, Harry's Invisibility Cloak, seals Dumbledore's transformation. He no longer needs to remain the public face of Hogwarts or the beacon of hope for the Order of the Phoenix. Hidden beneath the cloak, he moves silently through the wizarding world, a ghost in the shadows. Unseen, he spies on his enemies, even his allies, manipulating events behind the scenes to suit his vision of the future. But with every step he takes beneath the cloak, he distances himself further from his humanity. The Dumbledore who cared so deeply for others begins to vanish, replaced by a man driven only by his need to control fate. The changes in Dumbledore are not subtle, and Harry, who once looked up to the headmaster as a father figure, begins to sense something is wrong. Dumbledore no longer shares his wisdom with Harry. He becomes secretive, cold, and distant, leaving Harry and the others in the Order in the dark about his plans. Harry struggles with his own destiny as the chosen one, but feels abandoned by the one person he trusted most. The mentorship that was meant to guide Harry toward his ultimate confrontation with Voldemort disintegrates, leaving him lost and vulnerable. Dumbledore, now consumed by the Hallows, focuses entirely on his new vision for the future. He no longer believes in Harry's ability to defeat Voldemort. Instead, Dumbledore begins to consider a different path, using the Hallows to eliminate Voldemort himself. Why trust a boy to carry out such an important task when Dumbledore, armed with the most powerful magical artifacts ever created, could easily end the Dark Lord's reign? This decision fractures the Order of the Phoenix. Many members grow uneasy with Dumbledore's increasing power and his reliance on the Hallows. Aberforth, his brother, is the first to speak out. He accuses Albus of becoming the very thing they sought to destroy, another dark wizard obsessed with control. But Albus dismisses his brother's warnings, convinced that only he can save the wizarding world from Voldemort's tyranny. And so, he acts alone. In a shocking twist, Dumbledore faces Voldemort directly, wielding the full might of the Elder Wand, the Resurrection Stone, and the Invisibility Cloak. The duel is unlike anything the wizarding world has ever seen. Spells of immense power crackle through the air as the two most powerful wizards of their time clash. Voldemort, believing himself to be invincible, is caught off guard by Dumbledore's overwhelming strength. For the first time in his life, Voldemort feels fear. Dumbledore easily defeats Voldemort, but the victory is hollow. By using the Hallows, he has bent the laws of magic, upsetting the delicate balance between life and death. The wizarding world, instead of celebrating the defeat of Voldemort, recoils in horror at what Dumbledore has become. He is no longer the wise, kind leader they once admired. He is a man who has sacrificed his soul for power. With Voldemort gone, Dumbledore rules over the wizarding world, but it is a cold and joyless reign. The deathly magic of the Hallows clings to him, warping his mind further. He becomes obsessed with perfection, with eliminating any potential threats before they arise. The Ministry of Magic, the once independent governing body, is reduced to a puppet regime under Dumbledore's control. He uses the Invisibility Cloak to spy on potential dissidents, silencing them before they can act. The Resurrection Stone keeps him tied to the dead, feeding his loneliness and paranoia. And the Elder Wand, it whispers to him, urging him to seek out more power. Harry, now left without a clear purpose, tries to rally the remnants of the Order to stop Dumbledore. Ron, Hermione, and others join him, but they are no match for the man who has mastered death. Harry confronts Dumbledore in the ruins of Hogwarts, the place where he once found hope, and pleads with him to stop. But Dumbledore, now too far gone, refuses to listen. He believes that only he can bring about a utopia, one that Harry, tragically, cannot understand. In the final moments of their confrontation, Dumbledore prepares to strike Harry down. But in a brief flash of clarity, as he gazes upon the boy who once reminded him of everything good, Dumbledore hesitates. He realizes that in his quest to master death, he has lost sight of what truly matters: life. With a final act of defiance against the power of the Hallows, Dumbledore relinquishes the Elder Wand, shattering it forever. The stone falls from his grasp, and the cloak slips from his shoulders. The immense power he once held disappears in an instant, and with it, so does the man he had become. Dumbledore, now frail and broken, collapses before Harry. The world is saved, but at a terrible cost. The legend of Albus Dumbledore, the greatest wizard of his time, is forever tainted by the choices he made. In the aftermath, the wizarding world must rebuild, not just from Voldemort's reign, but from Dumbledore's. Harry takes up the mantle of leadership, ensuring that power like the Hallows will never again corrupt someone so completely. The Deathly Hallows are lost to time, scattered and hidden so that no one can ever wield their terrible power again. And Dumbledore, once the symbol of hope, becomes a cautionary tale, a reminder that even the greatest among us are not immune to the dangers of power.